Imagine putting every dollar of your retirement into a single stock. Now imagine watching that stock lose 99.7% of its value in 3 weeks. This isn't a hypothetical. This happened to over 20,000 real people. And the company's name was Enron. In the year 2000, Enron was worth $70 billion. Fortune magazine had just named it America's most innovative company. For the 6th year in a row, employees were told to buy the stock. They were matched in company shares for their 401k contributions. Executives called it the opportunity of a lifetime. By the time the dust settled, some employees had lost their entire retirement. Not most of it. All of it. This is the story of how it happened, and why it could still happen to you. Let's rewind. Enron started in 1985 as a boring natural gas pipeline company in Houston, Texas. Boring, until a man named Jeffrey Skilling joined and had a radical idea. Stop trading gas like a utility. Start trading it like Wall Street trades stocks. Skilling didn't just want to deliver energy. He wanted to trade contracts on energy, futures, derivatives, complex financial instruments most regulators didn't even understand. And to make the profits look good on paper, Enron adopted something called mark-to-market accounting. Here's what that meant in plain English. Instead of recording profit when money actually came in, Enron could record the entire estimated future profit of a 10-year deal on day one. If the deal actually made less money later, or lost money, that didn't show up until much later, if ever. This gave Enron's executives a powerful, dangerous tool. They could make almost any number look good. And they used it aggressively. But even mark-to-market accounting wasn't enough to hide what was really happening. Underneath the surface, Enron was bleeding billions in debt from failed ventures, broadband internet, water utilities in the UK, power plants in India that never turned a profit. So Enron's CFO, a man named Andrew Fastow, built something else. Hundreds of off-the-books entities, shell companies with names like Chuco and LJM, specifically designed to hide Enron's debt from investors, from regulators, and from auditors. Enron's auditor was one of the most respected accounting firms in the world, Arthur Andersen. They signed off on all of it. For years. And here's the part that mattered most for employees. The stock price kept climbing. In August 2000, Enron stock hit an all-time high of $90.56 a share. Employees were told repeatedly in company meetings and internal memos, buy more stock. This company is only going up. Many employees had 60, 70, even 90% of their entire 401k tied up in Enron shares. Not because they were reckless. Because the company matched contributions in Enron stock, restricted them from selling that match until age 50, and executives, the people who should have known better, kept publicly reassuring everyone the company was healthier than ever. Even Kenneth Lay, Enron's chairman, sent an internal email in August 2001. The same month he privately began selling millions of dollars of his own stock, telling employees the company had never been stronger. But inside the company, some people already knew the truth. In August 2001, an executive named Sherron Watkins wrote a memo to Kenneth Lay warning that Enron could implode in a wave of accounting scandals. She wasn't some outsider. She worked inside Enron's finance division and had seen the off-books entities herself. Her warning was largely ignored. Publicly, Enron kept telling employees and investors everything was fine. Then, in October 2001, Enron announced a $618 million quarterly loss and admitted to a $1.2 billion reduction in shareholder equity, tied directly to those off-books partnerships. The stock started falling fast. And this is where the story turns from bad investment into something far worse. In October 2001, Enron announced a change to its 401k plan administrator. That change required a blackout period, roughly 3 weeks, during which employees were legally barred from moving money in or out of their 401k accounts. Think about what that means. For those 3 weeks, employees could not sell their Enron stock, could not diversify, could not protect themselves. They could only watch. And during those exact 3 weeks, from October 29 to November 19, 2001, Enron's stock price collapsed from around $13 a share to under $9. It would keep falling long after the blackout ended too, all the way down to 26 cents a share by the time Enron filed for bankruptcy. Meanwhile, in the months leading up to the collapse, Enron's top executives had sold off over $1 billion worth of their own personal shares. Kenneth Lay alone sold millions of dollars in stock, even while telling employees to keep buying. Let that sink in. Executives had the freedom to sell. Employees legally did not. On December 2, 2001, Enron filed for the largest bankruptcy in U.S. history at the time. Over 20,000 employees lost their jobs. But the job loss wasn't even the worst part for many of them. Roughly $1.3 billion in employee retirement savings vanished. Real people, engineers, secretaries, accountants, warehouse workers, some in their 50s and 60s, weeks away from retirement, watched their statements show account balances that had gone from hundreds of thousands of dollars to a few $1,000s. One widely reported case. A longtime Enron employee had over $700,000 in her 401k at the start of 2001. By the time she could finally act, it was worth less than $20,000. That these weren't people who day traded recklessly. These were employees who trusted their employer's own retirement plan. A plan the employer designed and matched in company stock and told them to keep buying right up until the end. Arthur Andersen, the auditing firm, didn't survive either. In 2002, they were convicted of obstruction of justice for shredding Enron-related documents. The firm collapsed, and 85,000 employees worldwide, most of whom had nothing to do with Enron, lost their jobs too. Jeffrey Skilling was convicted in 2006 on multiple counts of fraud and conspiracy. He was sentenced to 24 years in prison, later reduced, and was released in 2019. Kenneth Lay was also convicted in 2006, but he died of a heart attack just weeks later, before he was ever sentenced. Because he died before sentencing, his conviction was later vacated under a legal principle called abatement. Legally, in the eyes of the court, Kenneth Lay was never convicted of anything. Andrew Fastow, the CFO who built the hidden entities, cooperated with prosecutors and served 6 years in prison. So what actually changed because of this? In 2002, Congress passed the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, one of the most significant financial reform laws in American history. It created new rules for corporate accounting, auditor independence, and executive accountability. It's the reason today's public companies face far stricter financial reporting standards. Congress also passed reforms specifically targeting 401k plans, giving employees the right to diversify company-matched stock after a shorter holding period, and requiring clearer, faster notice before any blackout period could freeze employee accounts. But here's the uncomfortable truth. None of those reforms could give Enron's former employees their retirement savings back. So what's the actual lesson here? The one that matters for you, watching this in 2026, with your own 401k? Concentration risk. When too much of your net worth sits in one single stock, especially your own employer's stock, you're not just betting on the market. You're betting your entire financial future on the honesty of a handful of executives you'll never meet. Financial advisors generally recommend no more than 5 to 10% of a retirement portfolio in any single stock, including your employer's. Enron employees on average had more than half. It's not that employer stock is inherently bad. It's that concentration, combined with restricted access, combined with information asymmetry, where executives know things you don't, is a uniquely dangerous combination. Enron employees had all three, at the exact same time. And it's worth saying clearly, this wasn't a case of ordinary people making a foolish bet. It was a case of a company structure, matching contributions in stock, discouraging diversification, blackout periods, that made the ordinary, sensible choice nearly impossible to make. Enron isn't even the only time this has happened. Employees at WorldCom and later at Lehman Brothers faced strikingly similar situations. Heavy company stock concentration, followed by sudden collapse. So if there's one thing to take from this video, it's this. Check your own 401k today. Look at how much of it, if any, sits in your own employer's stock. If it's more than 10%, ask yourself whether you'd be comfortable if that stock went to zero. Because for over 20,000 people in the fall of 2001, it did. Enron's story gets remembered as a story about corporate fraud, about corrupt executives, about accounting tricks with names like special purpose entities. But at the human level, it's a much simpler story. It's about people who worked hard, trusted the system built for them, and lost everything. Not because they gambled, but because the game was rigged from the start. If you found this breakdown valuable, subscribe for more deep dives into the financial collapses that actually shaped the rules protecting your money today. And drop a comment. Did you know the blackout period even existed before this video? Thanks for watching, and take 5 minutes this week to actually look at what's inside your retirement account. It matters more than most people realize, until it's too late.